Welcome back with the category mistake. I am Richard Mariello. This week we're going to talk about something a little more fun, a little more less exhausting like the last 2 weeks. Last week we talked about the presidential debate and how much of a disaster it was, and how as a society we have no options but we either have door one, door two, or oh my god, no. This week we're going to talk about something a little bit different. This week we're going to talk about how the world today sees not just entertainment, but how the world has changed due to something that we each have probably in our hands. And you might be even listening to while we're speaking. That is your cell phone. Every day, people charge their phones or don't charge their phones. And if they didn't charge their phones, their lives for the day are just ruined. Oh my God, I forgot to charge my phone. But we don't use our phones as phones. We use them to check our emails. We use them to text, Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, FaceTime people. We do everything, but calling is something we don't do a lot of. I use my phone a lot. And probably like a lot of you, I use it to scroll social media. I look up things. I Google stuff, which, is a verb, yet still we use it. We use it as a verb, but it's a noun. I take pictures of my dog. I do all different sorts of things. But I very rarely call. I remember back when I got my first cell phone, it was 2009, and I had an iPhone, I believe it was a 3, and they had so many minutes of calls, so many texts per month, and then very little data. And I thought to myself, I might need more call minutes because I don't know if I have enough. Now it comes with unlimited talk, unlimited text, and I have unlimited data. But I never use the amount of calls. I think I'd have to talk for days to equal what I used to do in a month. Now I barely do any talking. And I realized that we've basically turned our computers, our tablets, everything we do, and we turned them into our phones. Phones are bigger now. They used to be smaller. And for a little while, between 2009 and 2015, phones were getting smaller and smaller. It was almost like they wanted to fit in your pocket. Crazy. But then things started switching up. The screen started getting bigger. The multimedia that you could do on them got more extensive and more impressive. You could play video games that were console style video games on your phone. You could watch movies. You could watch YouTube. You could watch movies. You could download media. You could make movies with your phone. You could make a 4K movie with your iPhone or with your Samsung phone or with your Google phone. And it wasn't that difficult. It got rid of the options of needing a professional camera a lot of times. Most of us don't go down to the photo mart to get pictures developed anymore. We just have them on our phone. Most photo marts and places like that don't even exist anymore because there's so few people that need real film. And so we've killed the photo industry. And what's funny is when you look back on history, Kodak, which is a huge film company, right? They had the original digital camera, and they decided they weren't going to market it because they thought it was a fad, and what was the point? Kind of like Blockbuster with Netflix. Again, they thought it was not going to be that big of a deal, so they didn't invest. So Kodak squashed the digital camera they had, and then other companies came out with it, and now Kodak is barely hanging on. It isn't the photo juggernaut that it was before. Now they work with digital picture frames and other things, but they just don't have the power they used to have. And that's because of the phone. Other things that the phone have killed is as simple as a check. So Target and other companies now have stopped accepting checks. Why? Because you can pay with your phone. You can tap and pay on your phone. You can use your debit card. But a lot of people now are just tapping their phone. The phone, it has everything on it, which makes checks really no point for checks Because most of the older people who use checks, they're getting to an age where it doesn't matter if they shop or not. You want to make it easy for the 20 and 30-year-olds to shop with their phones. So that's your clientele that you want. Movie theaters. A lot of movies now just go right to streaming, and people stream them on their phones. I know people who don't have cable, who don't have internet, they just have their phone. They don't have a TV, they have their phone. Everything is on their phone. I talked to a gentleman who literally was watching the NBA Finals on his phone. I'm like, don't you have a TV? He's like, no, I don't need one. I have my phone. And it's crazy to think how a little device that, most of us put in our pockets, carry with us to the bathroom, it's everywhere we go, controls so much of our lives. You can be watching TV and still streaming things on your phone. Just flicking through the TikTok, going through the Facebook, through the Instagram, Snapchatting people, texting people, all while you have the TV on in the background. It's amazing how we can take this little device and just do whatever with it. And that got me thinking of something. In 2009, the iPhone that I had was very small. It could barely do anything. That was 15 years ago. In 15 years, we now have the iPhone 15, almost 16. We also have, multiple different smart devices, from Google Pixel 8 to Samsung 24, all these different advances. And every year when it comes out, there's some new fangled thing that it can do. And it's mesmerizing to me, because also in 2009, if I look back, we all, there wasn't electric cars. Electric cars were a fad. No one really had them. If you did have them, you were either really rich or really, pretentious. And now electric vehicles and hybrids are sold more than regular old cars. A lot of that could be gas prices are a lot higher, but the market is pushing us towards it. So I'm wondering how much of cell phone usage is the market pushing the younger version of us to be so used to it that when we get older, we have to do it. But it also makes me think in 15 years, what are we going to be using? Elon Musk, who's in charge of Twitter, in charge of SpaceX, and in charge of Tesla, has started doing something called a neural link. Basically, he's putting chips in your brain that help you interact with technology without a device, just with your brain. And that's a little scary if you think about it. If we don't need something in the outward world to control things, we just are controlling it with our brains and no one's seeing it, it's a little scary, a little crazy. I mean, it's crazy to me that I look at my phone and it opens up. It has my facial picture on it, and it opens up when it sees my face. So these little advances. What also is a little scary is AI in our phones. Artificial intelligence. They literally just had a beauty pageant this past week for AI. And Miss AI World just won. This person doesn't exist, but if you look at her, if you hear her speak, if you just see what she does, you can't tell. And all this technology is new. Very, very new. And when I was a kid growing up, there was all this thought, this is coming in the future, or this is coming in the future, and we never believed it. There was a movie called Weird Science where two boys created an artificial intelligent woman for themselves, and it's supposed to be just stupid comedy, but now you look at it going, they've done it pretty much. This AI isn't walking around, but this AI has their own physical space that they live in. They can answer questions. They can do things. They can look real. They can talk like a real person. It's a little scary if you think about it. And all this came forth from our phones. Microsoft came out with a phone, and Amazon came out with a phone, and those crashed because what those companies realized is you can't put all your technology into a device and only allow your technology to run it. So with Microsoft, you had to download only Microsoft apps for Amazon, same things. And so you think to yourself, wait a minute, if I can only get stuff from one location, how is that helpful to me? But here's the funny part. Apple does the same thing. Google kind of does the same thing, but not as bad as Apple. The Apple, you have to go to the iStore, the iTunes store, and buy it, or get it. And some apps don't work on Apple that work on Androids. And some apps only work on Apple either because Apple has bought them out or told them, hey, only we can use it. My wife has a hearing aid device, and one of the apps for it, she has two different ones. One of them only works on Apple products. So she had to get an iPhone to be able to hear. And to me, that's a little sketchy, that a company holds so much power that medical devices only work on one system. You would think medical devices would work on either Android or Apple, but instead they don't. And you think to yourself, how can someone have so much power? The reason Amazon, I think, and Microsoft failed was there was already Apple and Android. And those are the two behemoths, the two big ones, the two big mama jamas. And most of the world uses Android, but most of America uses Apple. So to introduce a new system with a new phone, a new technology that no one wants or understands, after everybody else has been in the market, Amazon and Microsoft just had no choice. Blackberry was a very popular phone for a long time, but even them, they could not compete with the Android-style touchscreen and the Apple-style touchscreen. Blackberry was more of a business phone. And what they've realized is they can't compete with those other companies because an Android you can do almost anything with. You can program it to do whatever you want. An Apple is simple, easy to use, and it's comfortable for a lot of people to use it because it's so easy. It's click, point and click, point and click. It's easy for all the apps to work on Apple. It's easier as a beginner phone. It takes good pictures, it takes good video, and everything works. You don't have to think about it. You just turn it on and go. That's what's funny, though, is I've been talking now for about 13 minutes about a cell phone while I'm looking on my cell phone. And cell phones have become addictive. You have little kids. I have a 5-year-old grandson who knows how to work a cell phone. He knows how to get to his app that he likes to watch videos on, and he doesn't even have to think about it. He just knows how it works, and he does it. He probably, by the time he's 20, will have more technological know-how than I do, and it's not because I don't know anything. It's just because since the day he was born, this technology has existed. He hasn't had to think about it or worry about it or learn it. He's just had to be alive. When I was his age, back in the Stone Age, computers were not a thing. I remember going to school and high school and we had a computer. I remember going, to middle school and we had 2 computers. And it was a big deal. It was like, wow, you have 2 computers? It wasn't something normal for people to have in their schools. And you think to yourself, nowadays, we give students computers to take home with them. We don't even make them, buy their own computer. We purchase it we purchase the computers for them so they don't have to worry about it. And they all share the same technology. And it's seamless and it's easy. As a teacher, I would have students just submit things to me online. I would never have to worry about a piece of paper and reading their handwriting. It would just be on the computer. And that's crazy to think of because, again, you grow up in my generation and you're learning how to write cursive and you're doing this, a lot of skills that you need. And now those skills are not important at all. And they're not important because the computers and your phones have made them obsolete. And they made them obsolete not by saying, oh, well, that's stupid, by saying, oh, well, put your thumbprint here, or use your finger and just sign here, or let me see your retinal scan, and we'll just scan it and you're good to go. We've made it way more convenient and easy to do paperwork on a computer or on a phone than it is to do in person. You can type all day on a computer or on your phone, and you don't get those pesky hand cramps and all the other crazy stuff that you'll get with writing. You don't have to worry about writer's cramp with your wrists. You don't have to worry about overdoing it, because most of us can type and text a lot longer without fatigue because we do it so much. When we used to have to write cursive, it was funny because it was exhausting. Because the only time we really wrote cursive was at school. I used to think phones were not that addictive. I used to think technology wasn't that bad. And I don't know if it's because I'm an older person now, or if it's gotten worse. But I've even caught myself zoning out on technology without even thinking about it. I just start zoning out. I could be playing a game on my phone without even realizing it. I could be, looking at pictures. I could be checking out a TikTok. I could be reading Twitter or X, and half hour could go by, 45 minutes could go by, and I wouldn't even notice it. And that's a little scary if you think about it. That we're so used to the mundaneness of what's in our hand, we don't actually ever think about what we're doing. We just, it's fine. We don't ever think about the consequences either. Because what I've realized is when I'm at home and I'm trying to relax and maybe talk to my wife a little bit, I instinctively pick up my phone. I pick up my phone even though I'm trying to have a conversation with my wife. And so that's a challenge because, again, I want to spend time with my wife. My phone is not more important than she is, but sometimes I feel like she must think that because I'm on my phone without even knowing about it. Does anyone else have that problem? Does anyone else feel like they're addicted to technology? I'm addicted to just, the good feeling, I guess. There's probably some psychological term for it that my wife knows that I have no idea. But it's like endorphins. It's relaxing. It's quote unquote fun. It's good. And no matter what I've tried, other than going to another country where I can't have a phone, it seems like it's not something I can break. But we absorb this media this way. And by doing so, I think what we've learned about ourselves is things like movie theaters and renting videos, which no one really ever does anymore. And regular television is going a different path now. There's a movie coming out this week I'm probably going to go see in the theater. But I used to go to the theater 5, 6, 7 times a year minimum to see movies. Now I go once, maybe twice a year, depending on. And now I go more to see kids' movies with my grandson than movies for myself. I don't go and see the latest, greatest movie because I can just wait for it to go to streaming. I don't have to stress out about a movie theater. And when I go to the movie theater, now you can download the app, pick your seat out, and you show up right before the movie starts. You don't have to worry about waiting in line. Because I remember waiting in line all the time for movies like Star Wars, Transformers, and Lord of the Rings, and all the Marvel movies. Now you just reserve your seat. And you show up when you show up. You don't stress out about getting a better seat. You pick your seat as soon as the seats are available. And if you don't get a good seat, then you go a different time and you find a better seat. It's kind of crazy that you can do that now. And I think all this technology is built on our cell phones. They developed these QR codes that people can just scan with their phone and it opens up an app automatically. And they don't have to think about typing in www. They just scan the QR code with their app on their phone and boom, they're there. They don't have to worry about any of the extra steps that they used to have to take when going on media, going on the internet. Heck, I got a new stove in today, and all I needed to do to get the instructions was to scan the QR code in the front of the package with my phone, and boom, I have the instructions. And it made it so much easier because I can just read the instructions. Crazy thought. But I love my phone. I love the thought of having technology in my pocket that I can use whenever I need to. And I know a lot of younger people who not having their phone is more like it's mortifying to them if they don't have it. It scares them. And it scares them because most of them got their phones when they were 10, 11 years old. They've gone through all of their life basically with a phone. You know, I work with a 19-year-old and a 21-year-old, and the 19-year-old had her phone for 8 years. 8 years is a long time to be attached to a piece of technology when you're that young. I got my first phone in 2009, so I was 25 years old. Actually, I was, 25. 25 years old. That's crazy. And so my brain was pretty much developed. The addictive, stupid part happens still, but I think I'm able to control a little better just because I didn't get it at such a young age. If I had access to a phone that young, I probably would have, but they didn't really exist, so I think that helped. But I love playing games on my phone. I love watching TikTok on my phone, or watching YouTube, or again, taking pictures of my dog, or sending funny memes to my wife, or funny videos to my wife. Or going out to dinner with my wife and taking her picture at dinner and posting it for everyone to see what we're doing. And it's crazy to think that that's, it used to be you just go out with your wife, go out with your family for dinner, and you just eat dinner. Now you take pictures of the food, you take pictures of the group, or pictures with your spouse, and it creates good memories, but it also takes away from the natural dynamic of what you're doing. Now, when I went to Italy, I took a lot of pictures. I don't live in Italy. Brazil and the Dominican, same thing. But I shouldn't be tempted to take a picture of a dinner at Applebee's down the street. It's not something I do. But on Father's Day, I had one of my kids up that I don't normally see, and my grandson up that I don't normally see, and I took a big old selfie right then and there of the whole group. And I thought to myself, was this to make memories, or was this just to take a picture? And thankfully, I put it on a photo album, and I realized, okay, this is a memory. It's good. It's okay. I like the memory. I like the, that part of it. But I also thought to myself, as soon as I got done taking that picture, I gave my phone to my grandson so he could play on it, so he was kept occupied. And we used to give kids books or puzzles or crayons, and now they get phones. But I like my phone, again, and I'm assuming people out there in the world like their phone too. What I'm really thinking is I might take a little time off from my phone, at least the technology part of it, shut the data off for a little while and just try to live without it for a week or even a couple days. See if I can do a couple days worth. What do you think? Do you think someone like me could do it? I know the younger people I work with probably couldn't, but I might be able to. The biggest challenge would be my email, because I get a lot of conversation through email. But the rest of it, I think I can take a Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube break, and I probably could be okay with it. The email might be the only thing I have a struggle with. So I think that's what I'm going to try to do. I think I'm going to take a week, and I'm just going to stop social media for a little while. And it's not because I hate social media. I love social media. I love seeing what people are doing and all the dumb things in the world. I like watching TikToks about people doing dumb things. And it's great, it's funny, it's enjoyable, it's what the world is today. But maybe I don't need to see what the world is doing today. Maybe I just need to see what's in front of my face today. And maybe I just need to see, my grandson without my phone between us. Or my dogs through my own eyes, not through my camera's lens. Or my wife through my eyeballs and not through my phone. Because I get to spend time with my wife, and when I do, I should appreciate her naturally, not through, a Google Pixel 8 camera lens. And again, I love my phone. And I bet all of you do too. And I think this challenge is going to be hard, but I think starting tomorrow, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a break from the old social and just kind of enjoy some time away from all the crazy of the world and all the loudness and ugliness of the planet we live on. And maybe just watch the regular news and not get my news from the interweb. And just see how crazy the news is from television, not from my phone. Do you want to take that challenge? I don't know. Good luck if you do. If you do, let me know how it goes. Till next week, this has been Richard Mariello. Have a beautiful week, and thank you again for listening.